G'day YouTube, warbles on a lot here. What you're looking at is one of my fire hoses, actually three of my fire hoses. What we have here, made in Australia, 0219 T046, showing off its capabilities. Including a kind of a miserly half jet. Try that with a cleaner lens. Not quite sure that it should be like that, but I'm happy to put up with it. Means you can squirt something a fair way away without using huge quantities of water. Okay. And now this one's dry. Definitely dry. This is dry at this end, but it's got, yeah, it's wet there. Well, I don't know whether it's supposed to be like that, whether it's a glitch or a feature. Maybe that's the way they were 5 or 10 years ago when they first manufactured these things. It's definitely wetter on the bottom than the top. Tiny little bits of drippies there. And this one's got your actual water droplets on the top of it. It's definitely a percolating hose. Fascinating. Oh well, I might remake the joints on that particular hose. The pinkest of the lot. Switch that off. Still pretty hard. While the engine's idling to cool itself down. Yeah, I think it's quite interesting the way the old stock percolates the first time you use it, leaves a wet mark on the ground, and the new stuff, for an extra $2 a metre, it apparently only percolates when it gets hot, which I think is just fascinating. There's your wet line along the ground again. Still pretty hard, but with 60 metres of percolating hose squeezing out behind it. Made in Australia 219 T6 Crusader Hose. There we go, the full novelette. Crusader Hose, 25mm by 30 metres, Sabre LP Class H. Made in Australia, 2nd 19 T046. Once again, same legend. Don't know what the LP stands for. Perhaps light percolating Class H. And when we get back here, It's got the droopiness, but what would you expect with a percolating hose? It's not going to hold pressure the way an unpercolating hose would. And the hose has still got water in it. I'm just testing it to see how it performs being dragged around. And it's coping with it pretty well. Purpose of this exercise, I'll come back a bit further. Now, damn, I hate telemarketers. Okay, so what I want to do is see how far the fire hoses get towards the dam. I've got to empty the water out of the hoses. There's about half a litre per metre. And well, there's the dam, and I've had a finger trouble issue, and I'm going to leave it in because, you know, can't do this video a second time. So this is how close I can get to the dam. Possibly I could reroute across there and get just enough to reach the corner of the dam. Although why I would want to put any sort of water through a fire hose into that dam, nobody knows. Let's just call it curiosity to see if the hose would reach this far. So anyway, we'll let that drain out. And now I have some hose rolling to get into. Isn't that fun? After switching off the pump. And remembering to switch its fuel off. And one good thing about these nylon Australium, not Chinesiums, is that you can put them away wet, because there's no organic cotton to go mouldy, mildewed or otherwise go off. Which makes me wonder, why is it that when you drive past the New South Wales Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service Brigade's fire station in town, they quite often have their hoses hanging up from a tower, drying out. Just like you don't have to do with nylon hoses that have got linings in them. So it makes me speculate perhaps the New South Wales Volunteer Fire and Rescue Brigade are still using old-fashioned cotton canvas hoses because they've still got them, they haven't worn them out, they haven't been forced to upgrade to the new stuff, and maybe they like the old ones, even though they're more of a hassle. Isn't that an interesting train of thought? Anyway, we take our pink hose and we elevate it to make the water that's in it climb the hill and then drain down to the dam. Yeah, I really did not expect that. Nylon hose with a silver liner that percolates under pressure. Bloody wattle tree grabbing me while I'm trying to be smart ass filming with one hand. Okay. I can just pull it up over my shoulder. Because I think all the water be gone. Yeah. Okay, so that's the size puddle 45 litres makes when you empty out your 90 metre fire hose. So yeah, now we'll just prepare to roll them up. Okay, these are the four ends of the two hoses which don't leak. They travel pretty well. A lot better than the Chinesium ones do, I've got to say. Right, lay them down and then we bring the leaker over and lay it over separately. And the difference between the leakers and the non-leakers is with the leaker, I hadn't quite figured out how to get the sleeve to fit, because these hoses are smaller in diameter than the Chinesium hoses, and the pretty pink percolating hoses are slightly smaller than the brand new percolating hose, the one which didn't percolate. And because I couldn't figure out how to make the sleeve, which I fashioned from part of the Chinesium hose, because the clearance is too tight to fit any of this percolating hose in there as a sleeve. It won't work. Had to use something thinner. When I couldn't get the Chinesium to fit, I used the same red tape that I covered over the hose clamp with, and clearly it leaks. It's not as good as figuring out how to fit the sleeve. So I'll just fit the sleeve, and we're going to say that these hoses are a success. And I've got to say, with those bloody silicone linings, they are pricks of things to roll up. 2 down, 1 to repair, and I'm going to bet that there's a whole heap of that electrician's tape under there. If there's not, well, golly gosh, gee darn shucks, I'm going to be wrong. And surprise, surprise, Wobbles is wrong again. The one that did not leak was the one where I managed to get the sleeve to go up and over the end of the, well, usually call it a dog's dick or a gland's penis, on the hose tail. With this one, it wouldn't fit diameter wise, so I shortened the sleeve, and that didn't work. Whereas what did work was a very careful application of red electrician's tape, stretched off to a feather edge, onto which the hose will fit, just. So then the hose clamp squeezes down on the nylon canvas hose case. The hose case squeezes the silicone lining. The silicone lining then squeezes the PVC tape, which is glued to the hose tail. And then the machined fittings between, or the machined faces between the collar and the hose tail can be pressure inflated, and they mate well enough that they actually hold water when everything works the way it's supposed to. 1 down, 1 to go. This is the way that does not work. Once more we go again. Torn off to a feathery edge. Did done replaced. One down, one to go. Okay, and I'm going to accept the assumption that it won't leak now. I'm not going to try and test it again. It's done exactly the same as that one, and it didn't leak. And that one's done different, and it didn't leak either. I'm just going to roll the bloody thing up, put it away. Got to be honest, these are the most cantankerous hoses I have ever rolled up. Chinese are easier, and actual cotton canvas with no lining are the easiest of the lot. I am assuming you're familiar with a Salter spring scale. Goes down to 25 pounds. Okay, well, there we have a bag full of fire hoses, which, as you can see, clocks in pretty much on the 25-pound mark. So 10 kilograms of fire hoses, 25 pounds. $548 worth of peace of mind. And man, don't you hate daylight saving when it finally gets too dark to be doing things outside. Look at that, you've missed the bloody news. And now, by Jove, I do declare it appears to be coffee o'clock, finally. What are you doing? Lidded coffee cups are great, except when you get the damn things 180 degrees out of phase. Try again. Arr. And on the other hand, when you get preoccupied, your lidded coffee cup will keep the thing warm and drinkable for about an hour. Wobbles on a lot to YouTube. Finally, I got the percolating hoses, and they perco bloody late as well. Ciao.